What's the purpose of a story? Why tell a story? What does storytelling do for us that we enjoy it so much? We love stories. We're constantly telling stories. We tell stories to ourselves about who we are, what we have been, what we think we will be. We tell stories to each other, supporting our individual stories and our collective stories. Our whole experience is a collection of stories. That's all. If you change the storyline, you change the experience. That's my story. October of 1973, I attended a conference in Fort San, Saskatchewan, which is a former tuberculosis facility when people were isolated before it became treatable with antibiotics. People were isolated in facilities like called sanitariums because they were infectious, contagious. It sounds familiar. Infection and contagion has been a constant reminder of civilization's shortcomings. The conference was organized by Dr. Duncan Blewett, who was head of psychiatry at Regina General Hospital. And it was a reunion of a bunch of psychonauts. These were early users of very powerful psychedelic drugs like LSD and psilocybin. And actually in the 1950s there was research done on the use of LSD as a therapeutic drug for cases of severe alcoholism addiction and so on. And they showed some success in that methodology before the program was shut down. But while it was running, people came from all over the world to have LSD administered to them in order to experience the effects for themselves. And they were writers and artists and scientists
And you?
and government officials. No, not me, because that was 20 years previously. I was in the 50s. 1950s, I was in grade school. This conference happened to be the anniversary, kind of the reunion of these enterprising psychonauts who were hallucinating a new way of looking at the world back in the 1950s, if you can imagine. And then the program apparently just imploded. It just got out of hand and eventually was disbanded. And this was a reunion. And it was a group of very amazing people. And it's inexplicable how I ended up there in that group, but I did. And I felt like I played a major part. I was on the hospitality side of it, the welcoming committee. It was the kind of event that generated something which I experienced but could not explain. And things would happen. There'll be a knock on the door. We're out in the middle of nowhere, right? This is outside of Fort San, Saskatchewan, which is not near anywhere. And Saskatchewan itself is like empty. And this was an institution out in the boonies in the middle of nowhere. And people would knock on the door, you open the door, and they'd say, "Hi, I'm here. What's going on here? Why am I here?" They just felt compelled to come to this place at this time, and we would welcome them in and say welcome, and everybody was looked after. My first experience of real community, of like-mindedness, That was an experience of genuine community and solidarity where there seemed to be an unspoken acceptance of everyone. And that was quite amazing. And then after that, I went back to my lunatic trajectory of my life, which took me in all different directions. And I never really had that experience of community again. But it's coming back to me now. And that's like almost 40 years later, 73, 83, 93, 2003. More than 40 years.
So were you tripping your ass off?
At the Psychotronics Conference in Fort Sand, Saskatchewan in late October 1973? No. I didn't require the use of psychedelics in order to enter an altered state of consciousness. I just went directly into that altered state. It lasted, how long was it? 3, 4, maybe it was 5 days. But people were just having a great time. I mean, fantastic experience. And people were reluctant to shut it down, but eventually they decided that everybody had to get back to whatever their regular life was. That was a rather unique experience in my life that never repeated again. I felt very plugged in, that I was, whatever I was doing, I was the right thing at the right time for the right reasons, and everything was okay about it. So I'm happy to be in that space now on a more or less permanent basis. Not 100% of the time, but most of the time, which I think is fine, considering I'm still embedded in a society which I know is insane, has been insane for quite a long time, so long that nobody can ever remember a time when they weren't totally bonkers. There never was a time when the world wasn't completely mad, unhinged, and...
Product placement.
Yes.
You know, we want to support our local economy here.
Yes, supporting the local economy is what's going to pay off in the short run and in the long run.
This is product placement.
Yes, this is an opportunity for local to take on the significance that it used to have. There was a time when the term local meant quality, meant investment in your community, meant you were supporting your neighbors.
I didn't pay for this yet. I just walked off with it.
Oh, okay.
But they know where I live, so I'm sure this bill will get settled.
My adventures at the Fort Sand Conference were not forgotten, but it was very difficult to repeat that level of consciousness. And I found myself bouncing around for quite a long period of time from place to place. And then, in 1998, which would be 25 years after, I had an opportunity to create community from scratch, so to speak, from nothing. There was nothing, and then there was community. So, but it was, anyway, it was a learning experience for me. But indeed, it was community. And from a theoretical point of view, an intellectual point of view, it was and is an admirable community. But my heart just wasn't in it. And then my heart got taken by someone. Hey. All right. Yeah, you're great. You're great too. Yeah, you guys are just great.
Go wash your face.
Yeah, I think so. I never wash my hands. I should.
How dare you? Go wash your hands right now.
No, I wash the dishes. I consider that to be hand washing. I do that for at least an hour a day, and usually more than once a day. I think I do more dishes than almost anybody else.
You think so?
Except maybe you, maybe sometimes, but not always. Depends what's going up the tube, the YouTube.
I'm a prophet first and a dishwasher second.
Before enlightenment, wash the dishes. After enlightenment, get your husband to wash the dishes. Yeah.
You're so sexy when you wash the dishes.
No, it's one of my most favorite, least favorite activities. But the thing I hate is like an untidy kitchen. It's very disturbing to my equilibrium, so I have to address that.
Go wash your hands.
Yeah.
And your
Now I
face.
should wash my hands, my face, and brush my teeth. Can I get some food?